Thank you very much. Happy to be here tonight. A very knowledgeable panelist tonight, coming to have those discussions. We have first Evan Harry, principal at DNX Ventures. And then we have David Smith, CEO of MLtwist. And so we're going to talk about building AI companies today. So thank you very much for being here today. I'm going to sit too. What we're going to start with is first, you've been talking before, but still, I'm going to ask you to present yourself. Tell us a bit about your background so that we understand how it's legitimate in the context of building AI companies. So please.
Thank you. Really great to be here. And my background is engineering turned product go-to-market leader turned VC, the evil side, I guess, and then back to product again for startups. So a little bit roller coaster journey with a lot of innovation along the way. I jokingly say that I survived 2 acquisitions and 1 IPO, and also my claim to fame is that I was in AI before it was cool. Last millennial. So
indeed. Well, thank you very much. And you too apparently survived a few acquisitions. Maybe you can tell us about it.
Sure. So just to clarify, I was part of those companies that got acquired. So I've been part of 4 different acquisitions, and it's an interesting period, right? Being acquired by another company and watching all the changes that happens, whether it's an acquisition to basically buy you out and shut you down, or an acquisition to buy your technology and integrate it into some other company's products. So it's been it's interesting to see all the fun stuff that can happen when one technology looks at another technology company and says, hey, that looks pretty neat.
Okay, so Eva, I'm going to start with you for my first questions because, to be honest, I'm very curious. Because I saw that you started in machine learning a long time ago, in 2000. So 2000 is like prehistory of machine learning, of AI. Just for context, 2000 was before PyTorch was released. It's like only a couple years after the MNIST dataset, the famous digit classification dataset was released by Yann LeCun. So tell me, how come did you start so early? What drew you to machine learning so early?
It's a good question, but you made me feel really old now. Dinosaur. I'm older than I look. It's the Swedish frozen winters that preserve the DNA, I guess. But what drew me to AI early on, I think it was, I ended up in computer science, master of thesis kind of degree in Stockholm, and dark winters make you think a lot. And, I learned how to program and saw it as a tool to unlock people. And the more I learned about programming and other computer science theories, I kind of fell in love with this, what if I can teach a program to do what I want it to do? Like, what if I could program things to do things for me? One of my internships was like agents crawling the web and creating a summary of interesting stuff that I wanted to read. Sounds familiar, right? But another project was to make a robot go and fetch the mail for me. All these tasks. I saw how it could unlock people's efficiencies of offloading or outsourcing the task I don't want to do. And then in the middle of the IT crash, IT boom crash in early 2000, I had not many options but I still wanted to do AI somewhere. So I went and fished in every company, like, can I do this for you? Can I do this for you? And then I accidentally ended up in a startup that said, can you do that? And my idea was like, I can teach the garbage collector in a Java virtual machine when it's appropriate to clean the memory for the running applications without interfering the running applications. I mean, it was these obscure ideas just because I wanted to implement machine learning. I wanted to teach a program to do something. That was my passion, and I haven't stopped that journey.
Yeah, that's fascinating because like JVM memory garbage collector is a very, very complex subject. And so it's fascinating how you used machine learning to teach the garbage collector how to efficiently clean memory. That's a fascinating usage of machine learning, very, very advanced. Going back to maybe a more traditional machine learning subject, very important to labeling. So we've talked tonight, obviously, a lot about data labeling, but I'm curious, as an AI company founder, entering, like, at some point you must have been figuring out, what am I going to do, what is it going to be, that startup that I'm going to create. How do you come up with wanting to tackle the challenge of creating a labeling company in a somewhat crowded space, in a time where I believe Scale AI was already there. So yeah, I'm curious, can you tell us more about your reasoning and the motivations?
I'm sorry, who are Scale AI? No. So look, it's called MLtwist. After I closed a round recently, one of the investors were like, you need to rename to AI Twist. I was like, some of us are still in the ML kick. The reality is that labeling, I think people constantly underestimate. And whether the labeling's coming from humans or machines or what have you, the fundamental concept is you're getting data out of data. You've got an image, I want to get data out of it. You've got a PDF, you have a video. You're trying to get more and more data. And I think as humans, we all kind of assumed or think instinctively the problem is the labelers. It's like, I'm going to get someone for $3 an hour, $5 an hour, $10 an hour, $20 an hour, $100 an hour, whatever it is. And I'm going to get thousands of them, and that's the bottleneck. In the companies that I used to work at, what I noticed massive, like if you looked at a 1 month timeline, like I've got, gosh knows how much data, a month later it's ready and the models, ingested it, or 3 months or 6 months. A lot of the delay actually was not the people doing the labeling. A lot of the delay or the validation, a lot of the delay was just the getting the data, from A to B to C to D to E to E F. So that was kind of like the inspiration, it wasn't necessarily to create a labeling company. We don't employ labelers. We don't build labeling tools. We just focus on software that just makes everything kind of work together. So in that way, we kind of want to make the ecosystem work a little better. And if there's a company out there that wants to compete against that whole ecosystem, that's another way to go about it as well, and that was kind of the inspiration for where I thought that there could be a differentiator that I could be a part of.
Okay, so yeah, the differentiating factor was really like integrating, making the whole ecosystem work well together, like streamlining the process. I'm assuming, because your background, you've worked at companies such as Oracle and Google. How did that? I'm assuming in those companies where you built high-scale systems, how did that experience help you? Did it help you? Or was it a completely new adventure with completely new challenges?
I'll make it quick. Long story short, you pitch an investor and you're like, hey, I got this idea. And the investor's like, oh, that's a solved problem. That doesn't happen at big companies. Amazon's going to do it or this or that. And it turns out when you're at the big companies, you kind of see a little bit of how the sausage is made, and you're like, oh, there's more to do. There's something, and if these big companies have a trouble tackling it, the mid-size, is a shoe company, a mid-size company, gosh knows, but these other companies must have the same challenges as well, in government, in launching rocket ships, in satellites, and whatever. So that was kind of, yes, being at big companies, I think the biggest influence to me was to realize that big companies have problems too.
Okay, and so speaking of big companies, Eva, you've been product manager at a lot of big companies. So how do you go from using machine learning to build JVM garbage collectors to being a product manager to being a VC? Or maybe you can do it in two stages. But first, how do you get into product manager? What are the challenges?
I think by accident. I think by saying yes to things you didn't really think about so much, because if I had thought about these decisions too long, I probably wouldn't have made these transitions. I go by curiosity compass in life, and also I want to live where I feel slightly uncomfortable. That's where you learn and thrive. That's where you push your limits to the max. So turning from an introvert engineer preferring to sit in front of my computer to suddenly be out there and talking to American demanding customers. Remember, I'm Swedish, I like isolation. It was a big transition to move to the States and suddenly be extrovert and, try to sell things and put pieces together. I think, how do you get there? By saying yes to opportunities come your way, and then listening to what brings you that challenge, brings you that joy. And my joy in life is to see whatever a team that I'm part of has built actually unlocking something with the customer. They feel like they now can do what they wanted to do. That someone said business impact. Sure, it's also a little bit about unlocking revenue and business impact. But for me, it's like people are successful in their jobs. We help make this happen. We saved lives. We created new medicines. We launched a rocket. Whatever their mission is, if you can have been a part of that and unlock that journey, made those people successful in what they love and their passion, then I feel happy. So it's the joy compass with a lot of, I think, naive ignorance to fear signals. Like, just say yes. And the same goes for VC. Like, after years of doing product and have everything that can possibly happen to you in a product situation, building products from scratch, getting assigned to create 50 million revenue from something where you don't get engineers. You should just create the product of existing pieces, and then sunsetting products, innovate completely new areas of business that no one has budget for, and then go educate. Like, everything has happened to me. In the end, you feel like, okay, I can do this job. So what is it that I can't do? And I got an invite from a VC to come in and join their team, and I have no idea how to do VC. Yes, I'll do that. So that's how you end up there. You say yes, and you don't think so much about it.
Wow, that's a very interesting career, very interesting course of events, and so now that I want to switch to a different question, because actually the one I wanted to ask is not as good as the next one. So now you're a VC. What are the key indicators? Like, how do you decide? We're entering to the crux of the subject, which is building AI companies. How do you decide if you're going to invest in a startup? How do you assess its readiness? if it has potential or not. What are the key ingredients?
You want to know my secret sauce? Okay. Well, I'll spill the beans to some extent. In early stage, which is very different than scale up or pre-IPO. So you have to know that my goggles are like pre-seed, seed, Series A. Everybody says this, but I'll try to give the layer underneath, like the team is the most essential part. But because, I mean, I think you lived it, I lived it in previous startups that I worked for. It's the team dynamic and the team's ability to execute in a sense that you have a North Star, you have a vision, you know somehow what's going to happen. You've seen signals that others are not paying attention to, or maybe a few are, but you see it's going to happen, it must happen. And I'm going to spend 5 to 10 years of my life serving that purpose because I can't imagine doing something else. And I have these core pillar people around me that I can work with seamlessly. There's good friction between us, but we know each other's weaknesses, we got each other's backs, and we're going to die or live together for this North Star. That's what you're going to want to feel as a VC about a team. So to take an example, I meet with 3 founders in a room and they present and they jump in and answer questions that are not their expertise. One is rolling their eyes when someone else is talking. Like, these are bad team dynamics that will make that team fail. Yeah, you can fix the team, you can replace people, but the best teams are the ones who know each other and got each other's back and know how to dance, know how to course direct, know how to make fast decisions, know how to read each other's signals and read the room and dance together in the same direction even when things go wrong. Like, I often throw in curveballs as a VC to see what happens in the meeting. Can they handle it? Can they handle a setback? Can they handle a harsh coming down moment? Can they handle stress together? I want to see that team, because if they can handle those kind of small little nuggets and still inspire me to join them on their journey, I think they can handle anything. And if they then have like multiple startup experience, I know they've gone through the gauntlet before and not going to be the first time mistakes. So often I tend to prefer experienced founders, like most VCs do. But it's an insurance. Like, it's not easy to pick the right startup. VC's not easy. They make it look glamorous and easy, but it's freaking hard to make the right bet. There's so many options out there. How do you know that this is going to be a winner? So you have to get to know the team. Are they aligned on the vision? Do I believe in that vision? Do we share the same passion? Because it's going to be a freaking hard journey. To most entrepreneurs, I say, don't do it. Don't do it unless you can't live if you can't see this happen. Like, you have to see it through. You have to live and die with that purpose. That's my first checkpoint.
That was the first? Wow. Vision, commitment, and good team dynamics. Okay. Let's remember that.
Just one thing.
That's the first. So we don't have a lot of time, so I would very much like to know what the others are, but sadly, maybe for another time. Very, very insightful and intense answer. David, we've talked about, so today, during the previous panels, we heard a lot about, manual labeling versus synthetically generated data and the problem of quality, the importance of quality. I guess I want to ask you, even if today we've heard that it is not yet working very well to use synthetic data. There are still some challenges. It seems that there is an inevitable trend towards moving to self-supervised and synthetic data. How do you see, what is your vision? How do you see the industry of labeling evolving?
So there's a few things going on. The first is when I was raising back in 2021, it was like, well, one of the big companies is going to figure this out. In 2022, it was augmented. In 2023, it was synthetic. In 2024, it was LLMs. And then in 2025, we'll see what happens. All basically to say that I think synthetic is effectively and something that we're all aspiring to, and we all want to see happen. And as we kind of like, and the previous panel really did a good job on this, they tackled this concept of, well, we've got it here, the use case is here, we've got something going pretty good, but then what's the next frontier? And as humans, we don't stop. Like, our company won a contract with the TSA on some pretty sophisticated data sets. I saw a $17 million contract go out from the US government to a company to label health data sets. I'm guessing that what they're doing is pretty synthetic. There was a $700 million announcement for an initiative called Sequoia by the Department of Defense, I believe, to label their kind of data. I think the point I'm trying to make is that we will never, as humans, stop pushing the frontiers. And if you see something and it's going good, then your instinct is, okay, cool, what's the next thing? In my opinion, the thing that never stops is the flow of the data, right? Like, things will change in and out. Okay, I want this AI for this and this AI for that. I want this person because they're a doctor, and I want that person because they're inexpensive. I want, this tool because it's got better visualization for audio because it's showing the decibel frequencies on the interface when people are visualizing that data. That will never stop. So it's not necessarily to say that synthetic is, it's definitely, it's like an aspiration, but this idea of trying to do more will never stop. And synthetic will always be, for now, chasing us versus us chasing it.
Okay, thank you very much. So we just talked about like change. Like, today we are a given state of things in terms of labeling, of practices, and we know that things are going to change eventually. When it comes to labeling, it's kind of a slow process. We are observing it as it goes, but there is another area which changes so dramatically fast that it's hard to stay focused. It's the rate at which AI innovation models are released like every single day. How do you, as so from your point of view as an AI founder, AI company founder, and from your point of view as a VC, how do you focus? How do you avoid chasing every new breakthrough? You mentioned like having a vision and sticking to it, but under that constant rain of changes every day, it can be hard. What is your standpoint on this?
So I think North Star is one thing, the vision is one thing, and that's the entrepreneur's vision. For instance, Vectara, that I'm now working at, the vision is like, we want to unlock enterprises to utilize the full potential of generative AI safely. And that means, we tackle the hard problems of hallucination or when agentic goes off rail and stuff like that. Our vision is clear, but how we get there needs to be dynamic. We need to see what new innovation come out, evaluate if that's real and necessary for our customers, and then we see how we bring that in. The same from a VC hat is like, yeah, there are shifts in how people are talking about generative AI. The new thing is agentic. It's really what Gen AI also talked about in the beginning, but we need new names because VC world is running fast. So people and enterprises and VCs get fatigued. You need a new wave and you need to jump on it. I did agents 100 years ago. We agreed on that, right? So what I look at there is what's real. There's a lot of AI washing. There's companies from 5-6 years ago that has stamped generative AI on them, and it's actually deep learning. It's nothing wrong with that, you know. But what someone in the audience was very, very intelligent, saying, what's the business impact? And I think we're almost back to looking at that as a VC market. We're almost over the hype thing to slowly come back to, yeah, but what's the business impact? So the questions have gone to like, okay, which AI company can I invest in? To, okay, what's your view on how you're going to utilize AI? It's more assumed that every company is going to utilize it somehow, but how are you going to utilize it for a business impact? And the business impact may not change as fast as the technology to achieve it, if that makes sense as an answer. Like, that's the nuance I want to shift to. Business impact is what you should focus on. Then the fluctuations will matter less.
Thank you. Totally agree. I think when you are looking at all these models, you, like back in the day when I was pitching, the VCs were like, oh, you've got to build your proprietary AI to do something, right? And then ChatGPT launched, and then everyone was like, uh-oh, that does what we do. So do we do it better, or what happened? And during that time, all the VCs were posting these memes of like, oh, I put a wrapper on an AI, aren't I cool, give me lots of money. Ironically, in 2025, that wrapper is solving a business problem that you don't have to go out and hire a team of 10 engineers and take 6 months to a year to figure out and then maintain for the rest of your time. So yeah, like, and now all of a sudden I think that the VCs, as you mentioned, there's a little bit of full circle where they're like, look, I don't care if it's a wrapper or a proprietary model or whatever, are you solving a business outcome? And the moat, you know, is defendable, will always be there. And I think wrappers are less easy to defend, maybe arguably, than some other stuff, but chances are, if you built the wrapper, you've probably built some other cool stuff to go along with it, right? So back to the business outcomes, I think we've kind of come full circle, regardless of how you're getting there. That the important thing is to be able to provide this value, and you're probably going to be flexible on the AI, just given how rapidly it's changing. I mean, you at Microsoft, right? Like, there's a good reason why Azure supports so many solid models. It's because they're all changing and they're all good at different things.
Yeah, and tell me about fatigue. Like AI fatigue is a real thing. Who doesn't get it nowadays? It changes every day. So yeah, we don't have much time left, and I have so many questions, but I want to give the chance to the audience to ask questions. Would you have, do we have questions for our panelists about how to build an AI company? Oh, yeah, well, one question's over there.
So last week, or the week before, I attended a webinar from MIT on like how to innovate and how like to foster between academia, enterprise, government initiative, etc. And they said that innovation was, so AI innovation was where a solution meets a problem. And I think that's really what is innovation in companies. But to run this type of innovation in companies, we also need to have some like fundamental research, to have some more development. Like, I don't see enterprise developing fundamental stuff that will like advance like the innovation, like generally speaking. And so I think my point is like how VC also encourage companies to run this type of fundamental things that are not directly increasing the value or solving a problem, but will unlock such things later on. Maybe it's more for Eva.
Okay, so I'm gonna repeat for everyone and to make sure that I understood it correctly. So you are asking how to encourage companies to do research which are not directly tied to the product, to build the ground to innovate.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'll give it a go. So we are the VC I work for, DNX Ventures, is kind of a unique VC in that sense because all their investors are corporates, but they're not tied to one specific corporate. So it's not a CVC, corporate VC. It's an independent fund, but we work with tons of corporates. And we run programs for those corporates on how to work with innovation outside their organization, because it's really hard in large corporate to drive innovation forward. There's so many, how do I put this nicely, protective mechanisms that slows down risk-taking. And for a good reason, enterprises should be careful about risk. There's many jobs at stake. There's a dependency on partners and ecosystem. I mean, there's many reasons to assure not taking too big risks. But enterprises are left behind if they don't innovate. And creating these programs or vehicles for enterprises, representatives to step outside their risk zone and have a partner in VC ecosystems have shown a great benefit for them. And I think one way is also to create your own VC arm, kind of stay connected in that way and bring small, young companies in and innovate together. That's also, but not all corporates can do that. Not all companies know how to do that. So the Next Ventures started kind of an incubator for corporates to learn how to do investment and work with innovation. It's a new take, but it seems to be working well for the companies who work with DNX. That's one way. Another way is to create ecosystems, right? So you create a cross-pollination advisory board, like bring researchers to the table, bring some VCs or analysts or startups that want to participate in a special focus area and drive that program from your enterprise sponsorship, but bring stakeholders in. There are many AI councils in enterprises today that invite startups to come and present at the table to share awareness across finance, marketing, HR, and other departments to stay aware of everything going out there. And I think startups is a great pulse on what's going on. So this is another way, like the AI councils are bringing innovative ideas to the table. So those are my 2 cents.
I'm not a VC. In pitching VCs, sometimes I wonder whether it is a VC's role to actually promote innovation, and there's different levels of grade of a VC. But really, they're in the business to make money, and they're in the business to give you $1 so they can get 10 or 100 back. And whether you're, figured out how to climb to the top of Mount Everest, and someone's going to pay you $1 billion to do that, or whatever. MLtwist was the recipient of, so the US government has the SBIR program, Small Business Innovation Research, where they actually pay a lot of small companies a lot of money to do a lot of innovation based on things that they think are interesting. France has doubled down, in Canada as well, on funding startups with government dollars to promote innovation in certain areas. So I would say that from a VC's point of view, and of course you'll find VCs who are very into pushing certain causes forward. But from my lens as on the startup side, I'm less about innovation and like back to the business outcomes, right? Like, if there's an innovative way to get a better result, let's do it. But it's all about the result and what is the best way to get that result for the customer, which then translates to returns for the investor.
Thank you. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Do we have more? We have a bit of overtime, I think.
Stay for we're between.
Okay. Okay. Okay, great. So maybe one more question, or we are. Okay, well, no more question then. Well, thank you very much. That was a pleasure and intense discussion and very interesting insights. So I'm gonna, and by the way, I didn't present myself. I'm Cedric Vidal and I work for Microsoft. And I completely forgot to present myself at the beginning. Thank you very much.
Thanks, everyone. This was a fantastic panel, and just wanted to say thank you, Vectara, MLtwist. All the panelists, a lot of them are still here. Enjoy the refreshments and stick around.
Hello, thank you so much for coming. If you don't mind, outside of the doors right there are some badges for you. If you don't mind picking up your badge and putting it on so we know your names. And then there's pizza and beer and drinks for you guys to enjoy.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for coming.